Welcome to Iron and Ceramite Hobby Bashing. It is once again time for us to share some of the Mechanicum's forbidden knowledge.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Iron and Ceramite. My name's Tommy, and today I shall be showing you a very quick tutorial video on how to make purity seals from green stuff. So let's get going, shall we? Okay then, here we are. These are the tools that you shall need to make your purity seals. So obviously the green stuff goes without saying really. A cup of water handy, because obviously you're going to keep the surfaces damp and the green stuff itself. You will need a sharp hobby knife for obviously cutting the green stuff. A modelling tool here just to move the green stuff around on the surface, so you don't have to use your chubby fingers. Well, if you've got chubby fingers, as I seem to have, a little bit of sausage-itis fingers there. Also, you will need a homemade tool, or at least this is what I use. So it's just a fine detail brush that's run its course. It was knackered out, so I've just chopped all the bristles off with a nice sharp pair of scissors, and then removed any others that I can with the tip of a hobby knife carefully. Just cut them out, so you're just left with the metal rim there, which obviously forms a small circle. So that will be used for the wax part of the seal later. So yeah, let's get to the actual making, shall we? So here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. I've taken a small piece of the green stuff off the end there, just cut it straight through with the hobby knife, equal parts blue and green. I've then cut out the bit in between where the green and the blue meet, just a tiny little slither there because it can react together, and obviously if that happens it can create lumps and things like that, which obviously won't be nice. It won't give you a nice smooth finish. So make sure to reseal your green stuff straight away and put it away. You don't want it drying out. So here we go then. So there you go. See, I've got equal parts of each. Just going to take a tiny dab of water on my fingertips, and first of all I'm going to start by twisting it together there. You can see it marbling together, and then eventually when it's in a bit of a knot I shall squash it into each other and then start moulding it into a ball, and eventually using the palm of my hand to roll it. So I shall be back when I've finished doing so. Okay then guys, this is the sort of thing you're looking for, the sort of colour, as you can see there. A nice, almost sort of a turquoisey, greeny, sort of a blue colour, greeny yellow maybe, whatever you want to call it, but that's what you're looking for. Now all I'm going to do is pinch a small amount off. You've got to think to yourself, how big do you want the purity seal to be? How big do you want the wax head to be? So obviously it's common sense really, you take as much as you need. So, and if you take too much, you can always obviously take a little bit off. You don't have to stick with what you've got. So there we go, roll it around in my fingertips, make sure the surface is nice and damp there. Put the ball down there. There we go. Roll it into a nice little sphere, as you can see there. And that's it. Okay guys and girls, now here you have it. As you can see, there's our small piece of green stuff that I've rolled into the ball. Now this is the tool that I was talking about earlier, the fine detail brush that's been turned into the tool for the purposes of the purity seal making or shaping. So no bristles left, as you can see, maybe just a few tiny ones there in the edge, but that won't make too much of a difference. Now you take your modelling tool, you make sure that it's been put in water or dampened down, just so that it doesn't stick when using it, and also you dip the brush in some water as well, just so it won't mess up and stick into your green stuff. So you just take it down from dead above, or as centralised as you can, and just start working it in there, side to side, round and that, till it's all the way down. And then you take your modelling tool and gently prise it off of the brush so it can drop back down. You can always keep shaping this after it's been done. So there you go, it's been made into pretty much the shape of a wax seal. It'll never be as perfect, I don't think, unless you were some form of genius, as the ones that you buy, but once this is painted up and it has its tassel on, I assure you it does look pretty good. So here we have it, guys. I'm back to do the tassels or the parchment part of the purity seal. I'm just going to use I've only got a small bit left, but it'll do for the purposes of this tutorial video. So the green stuff that I used earlier that I mixed together, that I pulled the wax seal part from, just going to mould that up a little bit more just to make sure it's still pliable, keeping it nice and damp with some water that I still have handy, of course. And I'm going to make the surface pretty damp for this because it really can stick quite easily. It can be a right little bitch sometimes, to be perfectly honest, but here we go. So yes, mixed up a little. Remember to keep your hands damp as well, otherwise it will make it more difficult. So just going to squash it down now, make it into a little bit of a square, or pretty much just as long as it's not moulded out nice and thin, so that you can cut it. Keep your hobby tool handy so that you can keep moving it around, because it will stick even though it's very wet if you're not careful, especially if your surface is a little bit uneven. There we go. So I'm just going to turn it around to keep it nice and coated on both sides. Now you will get fingerprints of course on this while you're doing it, but you can smooth that down if you just put your fingers in a little bit of water and then just run them across the green stuff, then that should work fine. So I'll just make sure that's not stuck there. There we are. Turn it over one last time. So there, nice and smooth pretty much. I'll take my hobby knife now, make sure it's nice and sharp. Just going to cut off the dodgy edges, as you can see there. Don't want them hanging around, so going to get rid of them. Then I'm going to come straight back and, well, first of all, make sure you have a look at your wax seal. Now you want them to be big enough to go behind that, as that is going to obviously go at the top of them. So let me see how big they should be. I think probably maybe about that long should do it. So there we go. Just make a nice incision now, take them off, then you're left with this bit here. Cut off the edges once again that aren't straight, that you do not want. And it's just a simple case of keeping your tool handy so that you can prise them off of the hobby knife once you've cut them out. So there we go. That's the first one. Yeah, just make sure you leave them in water as well, otherwise they will dry up, which obviously of course you don't want. Another one. They don't have to be perfect, sometimes they are almost a triangle shape anyway on a lot of the models. So there you go, that's number 2. And just for the purposes of the video, I could keep going and cutting down there, but I'll do that later. Just gonna take these, pick them up, put them together like that. Obviously you can take a lot more time with yours. I'm just doing this for the purposes of the video. And there we are. Put the wax seal on, make sure it's all in place how it should be. And there we are. That's your wax seal done with the parchment, and your purity seal is up and running. Now of course you need to let it dry. Once you've let it dry, you'll be able to mould the parchment. I probably should have done these bits of parchment a little bit longer for this size of a wax seal. But yeah, you can, once it's drying, it will still stay pliable for a very long time. And then you can just put some little bends and some little nicks and stuff in the parchment just to make them look a little bit more realistic. But I'm just going to let that dry, and I'll show you the end results later.
So guys, my green stuff purity seal has now had enough time to set sufficiently so that I can paint it, and as you can see, attach it to the back of my Librarian Dreadnought. Now I will confess I'm not a professional painter, as you can most probably tell, and the purity seal itself hasn't come out perfectly, but that doesn't matter. You guys now know the techniques, the steps I took and the order in which I took them. Obviously the tools that I used for the project as well. So have a few practices, and I would like to know how you guys get along with it. Don't forget to leave your green stuff for 24 hours or at least 12 hours before you paint it, just so that it can set sufficiently and the paint will apply much better as well. So good luck.
As always guys, thank you very much for watching Iron and Ceramite. I hope that short video will help some of you guys out and maybe save a few pounds or dollars or euros or whatever else you use. But yeah, we'd love it if you would like and subscribe to our channel, and also leave any comments that you feel would help us in the future. Thank you.
We hope you found that useful. Why not hit the like button and share with a friend, and subscribe to our channel for more content.